All right, we are live. Welcome to a crypto market update. We just did one on BTC, going over from the weekly, mainly the daily 4-hour chart, and really discussing the buyers and sellers in the market, trying to analyze this overall. So the sentiment for BTC is we are potentially holding a nice level of confluence. We can see on the 4-hour we got a nice level of buy area, which is around $9,500, $9,400 zone, which we are currently holding, but we really haven't made a new higher high, so we haven't really seen the market structure shift. So the sentiment isn't too bullish yet, but we are seeing different alts within the market break to make new higher highs. Binance Coin, Ethereum, Atom, all the three of these coins I am looking at because they're holding nice descending zones that hold trend lines, and they've recently broken out of the trend lines, which is the first indication that I have that kind of meets my criteria for a long. I'm still looking for a pullback to validate a previous level of support or previous level of resistance as a new level of support, and I want to enter on the formation of the higher low and the completion of the exhaustion phase within the cycle. So we do have a little bit of time left before we jump in and enter the market, but it's looking not bad. So we're not going to look at every single pair because some of them I don't love and there's not really a trade, but we will go over the different pairs that look good, that have a price action pattern that we can depend on, and that have a potential opportunity to hedge the market if you are short BTC already. If not, then it could be a potential opportunity for you to look at a potential long exposure opportunity for an alt if you don't have any exposure to the long side within the crypto market. So let's get started. We really only have one person watching. If you have a question, if you're that one person, just drop it in the comments below or the chat section, and I'll be happy to answer it. So let's go over first BNB and then kind of work our way to the left. So this is the descending zone that we put in. You can see it a little bit more clear on the 15-minute chart. But what we're kind of looking for is a higher high first and then an entrance on the higher low. And we also are holding a nice descending zone. We can see it right here. And it does look like we have broken above this zone. We still have 7 minutes before this 1-hour candle closes. But within the 7 minutes, it definitely seems like we will have a candle closure above this zone. We can also see just on the 60-minute, we are above this previous level of resistance, which if we are going to hold this zone as a new level of support, could be a potential opportunity to enter for us. We will check what the next couple of candles show us, but I will be a little bit hesitant because it's not much of a higher high than this previous high. We can see, let's just zoom in a little bit closer so everyone can see it a little bit more. So this is on the hour chart, and I did draw this on the 15-minute, this descending trend line, and we will discuss it on the 15-minute, but just talking about the hour chart, talking about market structure. So we've been seeing clear lower lows and lower highs. We have made a lower or higher high from this point right here. This is the recent high, and now we made a higher high if it does close around there, which is great to see. So because the actual pair has now broken the descending trend line, that's our first level of confirmation, and then it made a new higher high. That's another level of confirmation, and then if we're able to see the price hold a previous level of resistance into new level of support, that would be a third level of confirmation. So we also do see buy volume coming in. Let's just quickly look at the 15-minute here, and on the 15-minute you can see the overall structure a lot more clear. Let's just get a picture and then discuss what the overall structure on BNB is. So we see a nice descending trend line that's connecting the lower highs. Very clear, easy to identify, many touches on the chart. So we can use that as a nice key zone. So this is the previous high I really wanted to pass in order to to validate it as a new structural high. This is the key zone that I wanted to pass. So we're not really above that zone yet. Like we are theoretically, but not really if we count that wick there. So I'm going to be a little bit more patient, but if we do start to see the consolidation at this zone, that would be a good opportunity. If we start to see buy injections at the zone around $23, that would be great to see. If not, if we start to see the price come back down, I could see the price retest either these zones, which is around $22.25, around there, maybe $22.50, but We saw an impulse move, and we wanted to see the exhaustion complete. So we saw the move to the upside. We're wanting to see the exhaustion, the pullback complete before the next move to the upside. So we're wanting to see this move before we look to enter to make money on the way back up. So that's what we're looking for. And we saw the initial exhaustion break above the zone, and now we're looking for the completion of the pullback. We do see a significant amount of buy volume coming into the market recently, like we see right here, compared to the previous price action. So that does indicate more buyers looking to enter within the market. So right now, like we said before, we'll see what the next couple candles on the 1 hour here does. If it does hold here, that could be a nice level of a support with the previous level of resistance right here. We need to see at least 2 injections, ideally 3 injections of buy volume before we even think about entering here. And if we don't get that nice level of support to hold, and if the price comes back down, then we'd be looking for potential support of this zone, because it's a zone of confluence, because we've seen the support here hold multiple times, and then it's also going to be a descending zone, which turns into a nice new level of support. So we'll see what BNB does, but that's the overall outlook we have. It's looking pretty good. It broke a major zone. On the 1 hour chart, we can see it made a new structural higher high. If it does close around here, which it looks like it will, because it only has 3 minutes left. But overall, that is BNB. Looking pretty good, but we're still looking for a nice pullback to validate the new level of support and to complete the exhaustion phase of the cycle. Ethereum is kind of in a similar boat. It's kind of in a similar boat. We had a descending trend line connect the lower highs, and then we structurally broke those lower highs and formed a new higher high from this zone right here. So this structurally was the low or the high. This one was the previous high, and we saw the price now, it looks like it's making a higher high. So structurally speaking, we have made a higher high. Also, we have broken this descending trend line. So that is 2 confirmations that we could see a shift in trend, and we see more buy volume coming in here as well. So that's another indication that we could see a shift in trend with more buy volume coming in. We don't want to just enter willy-nilly. We want to really ensure that we are entering on a good situation. But just talking about market structure, this is a previous resistance. It could act as a nice new level of support within our zone of confluence, because now we have our resistance turn into a new nice level of support. Looking at it on the 15-minute, I think we'll be able to see it a little bit more clear. Let's just zoom in a little bit. We also see some higher lows though, so if things does go south, we could potentially use that zone as a level. Like if things does really go south, we could be using a couple of these zones as levels of support, but for now it's looking bullish, it's looking strong, so we're going to trade the trend that we're looking and that we see the bias towards. So we see a key level of resistance right here, right here, right here, right here, right here. So it's a strong level at this chart right here. So then we understand that that's our first level of sensitivity horizontally. We also see a descending zone that's also sensitive. We see our anchor point right here, and then we see 1 rejection, 2 rejection, 3 rejection, 4 rejection. So we see that that's a dependable area within the chart, and those 2 zones are coming together at a single point, which is going to be around the $252-ish range. And we see the price break above this zone, hold on the 1 hour chart. It looks like we still got about a minute and a half before that closes, maybe a little bit under 50 seconds, but we do see the price is now closed above this zone on the 1 hour. What do we need before we actually look to look long? We need a validation of a new level of support. So looking back at the 1 hour, we just wanted to discuss on the 15-minute to really see the granular details and see how well respected these zones are. So now that we've broken above the zone, we can basically call it complete because it's 30 seconds left. Now we're looking to complete this by validating this previous resistance as a new level of support, which is going to be around the $252 range right around here. So that would be the ideal situation if we do get a pullback, validating this previous resistance as a new level of support, and then we start the trend back up. That's what I'll be looking for. So I'm looking to enter when Ethereum does pull back. We did see a impulse move towards the upside. We're looking for a exhaustion move to commence, and that's where we're looking to enter. Once the completion of the exhaustion move is complete, we're looking to enter at the start of the next wave of the impulse move. So we'll see how this looks. Volume looks good. The 4 hour, 1 hour, and 15-minute look good. Just quickly talking about the 4 hour again. Still looks pretty good. We're holding a nice level of support. We see lots of wicks down here. Structurally speaking, we've made a low, and if we're able to make a higher low from this candle here and then kind of start our trend back up, looks pretty good. And zooming back even out further, I do think that, like, you know, like, in my opinion, I personally would not want to be shorting something that's looking like this. We do have resistances nearby, like 283 is a really strong resistance. 284 on Ethereum is a really strong resistance. We also see another really strong resistance at around 320, 318. That's also a really strong resistance. But looking at the 4-hour candles on the daily, we see this previous candle is pretty strong. We see high R vol. Yeah, I'm personally not going to try to fight the trend here. I'm going to wait for a pullback, wait for a nice validation of the nice new level of support. Although I do see the level of sensitivity that people are looking at. We see that this zone, especially on the 1 hour, right here. So it makes sense, but I'm looking for if the price is able to go above this zone, or at least at that zone, and then at least you made a structural high, because this is a level as well, and this is a little consolidation. Once it's able to retest that previous resistance as a new level of support, let's just look right here, and right here, and then lows, and then lows. So we see a nice zone here that we're working with, and then we made a structural higher high because this is the recent higher high, or this is the recent high. So we structurally made a higher high. Now we're looking for that nice pullback to validate it as a new level of support, and that's how I'm personally going to be playing Ethereum. And yeah, that's basically about it. Let's put the TA back on, and let's see what it does. Looking for that pullback, and if it doesn't come, that's unfortunate, but we're really looking for that validation of a new level of support before we look to enter. We're looking to enter the completion of exhaustion. Link is also a pretty interesting one. It's actually doing pretty well compared to the different alts within the market. It hasn't really dropped nearly as much. Basically at the all-time high. We see a lot of wicks to the downside, seeing a lot of buy pressure within the market. We see a lot of buy pressure around that $3.86, 87-ish cent range, which is the previous candle closure on the daily chart, which is very significant. Just gonna get a little bit of coffee here, and then I'll continue. Just quickly looking at the comments here, just dodged a bullet, entered short on Ethereum, and then you guys started talking about the bullish 4-hour candle after some thought. So just fucking closed it with my position, while almost 1% profit, and now it almost hit my stop loss if I did not close that one. Yeah, definitely. Looking at the 4-hour time frame candles is important. Happy that I could help you out with that particular one. Happy that you're doing better there, Aphis. Really happy to see you within the community. You are a good member, and yeah, overall very happy with the community members within the Performante Premium. Really good group of individuals that I definitely like to talk to every day. So let's continue on with Link. We see that we broke. Actually, let's just put this together, and then we don't really need to talk about the drawings here. So we see a nice structural high right here, which is now testing as a nice new level of support after breaking the all-time high, which also is going to be acting as a nice level of resistance. So we're kind of just in a range right now, and we got to really understand that this is a very strong level of demand. It's a strong level of support, because last time that was the previous all-time high candle closure, which is a very significant location on a chart, or a price point on a chart. So we got this area right here that we're using as our major structural high or structural low within the consolidation. And then on the 4-hour, we're not really seeing much. We're seeing nice touches of the support, so we can verify that yes, this is a dependable zone where buyers are going to be located. We'll even put that very green zone there to really signify that there's bulls within that market. At the $3.80 range to $3.70 range, that's going to be the demand zone for the buyers. Now moving to the 1-hour chart. Now what I don't love is seeing the higher high here. If it was a horizontal zone, it'd be a little easier, but at this point in time, we're not really seeing too much of the squeeze. We're not really seeing a nice clear price action pattern that we can use. On the 15-minute, we can see a nice structural set of lower highs that we can just put a trend line down and then formulate a nice set of lower highs. So it did break out on the 15-minute chart, which is pretty significant. And let's just put in our projection zone again. So this is actually an opportunity that I will be looking at. Oops, don't need that. let's just go back and draw that projection again. I don't exactly know what happened. So like so, and then we're going to be putting it downwards at that touch right there. So that is our structure. We know that this is the final level from the previous price action for the high. So this is like the all-time high of Link previously. So we know that we're kind of stuck in a range here. But overall, we've broken a descending zone. We've made a structural higher high. And let's see if we're able to hold a structural higher low, which would most likely be this previous level of resistance, which is going to be a new level of support. So let's see if that's able to hold, because then we've structurally made a higher high, and then we'll structurally make a higher low, and this would really validate this potential opportunity here. And then we may see some higher highs appear, which would be really great, because then we saw lower lows and lower highs, kind of squeezing the price towards the apex of the price action right here. Oh, also don't have the volume on this, which is a little odd, because I usually have the volume on every single chart. So there we go, that's the volume. So structurally made a higher high, and if we make a higher low, that could be pretty good for a potential long opportunity, because we're not really risking much to gain some amazing long side exposure for a very, very trending, strong pair, because we saw a push, exhaustion, push, exhaustion. That exhaustion still was not lower than the previous low, so we're still making higher highs and higher lows. I don't love the bearish candle right there, or the bearish bar, but overall we're seeing significant RVol, we're seeing significant relative volume in the market. Just taking that off for a second. So we're still seeing the price hold levels of support. If we're going back on maybe the 6 hour or 12 hour, that would probably just be a wick there. So we're making strong moves towards the upside. Don't really want to enter just yet, but we'll see how it goes. That's definitely the $4.20 range is definitely a very strong zone within the chart. So like kind of right around here. I think I'm going to extend this a little bit further out, kind of like so. It's a pretty strong zone within the chart, and we have made a higher high from that zone, which is great to see. So we'll see how the price action looks in the next couple 1 hour candles here. But if we're able to hold this zone, that could be a good opportunity for us to start entering on Link here, because I do see Link potentially really, really rocketing up still. Very healthy move up. We saw consolidation move up, consolidation. So I definitely see the price continuing to go up in the near term, unless we see BTC really start to fall. But just looking at the daily candles here on Link, look how bullish that is. We see very, very strong bullish move to the upside. We see lots of candlestick patterns indicating bullish volume. We see lots of wicks to the downside, pushing the price right back up. For me, this is something I would be like to get some long exposure on with limited downside risk, obviously. So we'll not put that in. We'll see how the price action goes for the next couple hours. We'll probably be making another video a little bit later on today, kind of discussing how the different alts are looking after the pullback. We are getting a nice pullback from Ethereum. We're getting a nice pullback from Link, BNB as well. So we're seeing that pullback appear, which is nice. That's kind of what we're expecting. So we'll see how that reacts with the different areas we have within the chart. Now let's go on XRP. This is definitely a little bit longer than the average video. Not really, we're in just 18 minutes, so we're not really going crazy, but definitely trying to get all the points here. So XRP, a little less ideal. I'm not loving the structure of XRP. I don't really want to long at this very moment. But we had a pretty significant pullback to our 268 range, or 261-ish, around that range. And it looks like we're holding very well. Very, very obvious level of support before. And it's holding pretty well. We do see that the price was holding the previous low right there. We do see lots of buy volume coming in. So if you are looking for a little entry on a pullback, XRP look like possible potential, but I like to use the edge of both a descending zone and horizontal zone coming close together. I really like to do that, and this doesn't really give me the opportunity. I guess you could, if you put it on the 15-minute chart, you could potentially connect these lows, or kind of the higher lows here. So let's just draw in a couple zones to see what we're able to identify. So We're not skipping this out, so that could be the anchor point there. And then looking at the different options we have within different anchor points and different key areas within the chart. That's the best we have, and then we'll put a projection to represent that gap right there. So it's a pretty well respected area on the chart now on the 1 hour. Let's look on the 1 hour. Not so bad. Made a bit of a structural higher high, which is not bad. And let's just see if we're able to hold this zone sort of right around here. So it's not an exact zone. I think I'm actually going to look at it on the 1 hour because sometimes you can really easily tell where a zone is on the 1 hour, especially boom. You just look back. That is a zone we're trying to hold. Previous level of resistance, major level of resistance, and then now it's going to potentially be a new level of support yet again. We'll see how it goes. And not much more to talk about with XRP other than that. I think I will stick on the 15-minute chart for this. I don't love that that's a new high. I'd like to see the price make a little bit more of a distinct high. So I think I'm just going to put the zone to there. So if we made a structural high that reaches this point there, that would be pretty good. But I haven't really seen a structural high or high yet. We could just consolidate, kind of going sideways here for a little bit, holding support and resistance. So not going to enter just yet on XRP. I think BNB looks a little bit better. Ethereum looks better. Link looks a little bit better. But I think Ethereum is the best out of all of them. BNB does look all right. But also I'm just going to put in our nice little zone right here. So we have a good understanding of where we're wanting to hold. All right. So now for our next one. XRP looks all right. Nothing crazy. TRX is in a very similar situation to a lot of the different alts that we are taking a look at. A little bit less of a descending zone that we can work with, so I don't really mind just having a horizontal zone. It is holding a nice level of support. We see all along here we are holding a nice level of support. I'm just going to change this a little bit so it's a little more accurate with where the price action is. So this zone right here is where we're talking about, where the current level of support is. And we also see a very distinct area of sensitivity right around here. So we have a mid-range zone, we have a demand zone, which is this zone right here. We have a mid-range zone, and then we have our supply zone, which is going to be represented like so. Oops, so we got our three areas, and we'll just basically see how they react to the price. But right now we already have a few pairs that we're looking at that we could potentially look for longs. So we're not really going to be looking here too much, although we could break it down because it has structurally made a higher high from this high here. But just talking about trend lines, we don't really have a lot of trend lines. Let's just try to scout out some just to look for potentials. I could definitely draw some here. See a pretty nice zone right there. So we could draw it out for every single alt here, and I think I will just for fun. Let's put that anchor point a little bit more clear. I'm pretty happy with that. And then we'll put our projection zone touching from our anchor point, closing the gap. And then structural higher high we made on the 15-minute because this was the previous market structure high. We broke above it, and now we are retesting for a nice level of support. So very similar to a lot of the different alts that we have right now. I'll probably put that a little bit higher than XRP because it has broken the structural higher high on the 1 hour as well. So not too bad. We'll see how that looks. I think it's a little bit better of price action pattern than Link. BNB looks all right. Ethereum looks all right. So that is basically the couple alts that we have that are kind of within our tool chest of alts that we could trade if the market starts to shift, which is not bad. EOS is our next one. Just looking at the 4 hour and daily chart, looking for major zones. So we got a major zone right here. Let's just put that in. Nothing crazy, but we do have a zone of support right there. And then looking at the hour chart, we just see a nice zone of consolidation. Haven't really made a higher high, we're just consolidating, so we're not really interested in this pair nearly as much. I guess we've made a higher high from this point here, but I like to see a descending zone, kind of like what we see on the different pairs that we have for BNB and Ethereum and TRX. So I think what I actually will do is keep these, actually I'll keep these on the 15-minute chart. and I'll just make sure that we are staying very patient. So we got to pull back to this zone. We haven't really seen any buy pressure come enter this market yet, but we'll see how it goes. EOS is not, I'm not too interested because we see a consolidation at this. Let's just get our snip here. So we see a consolidation kind of like we see here, where we're kind of bouncing from just resistance to support, also from resistance to support. So we're just bouncing from here, and then bouncing from here, and then I think we could just see a nice little bouncing from here as well. So if we're breaking that zone, retesting it for a nice level of support, that'd be great. I'd enjoy that, kind of like we saw here. Like for example, within this consolidation here, resistance, support, we broke above, we retested for a couple times, and then we made a move to the upside. If we're able to see that within this consolidation, breaking above the zone and then retesting for a nice level of support, that'd be great. But at this point right now, we're not really looking to look at EOS until there's a lot more of a validated potential price action pattern that we can use. Dash is the last one. Just going to be looking at the Discord for any comments here. Nice, that's why we follow the live events, definitely. All right, so let's move on to the markets here on the 4-hour. Dash did have a pretty decent dump. Let's just draw in our trend line, which is going to be right around there. I think I could drop it a little bit further down and then connect it maybe right around there. Maybe not so perfectly. I think that's the spot that we want right there. Yep, so I'm pretty happy with that area, so I'm going to leave that there. And we saw a move down from the ascending support, and now we are holding our $103-ish level of support, and then we're bouncing up, but I'm personally not really wanting to enter it because we're not really seeing a descending zone. But structurally speaking, we've made a higher high, and if we are able to hold this nice level of support, we could be making a nice higher low, and then we could see the market structure start to shift. But overall, I'm not personally looking to enter on Dash. I think there are better opportunities within the market for me to long, although it looks like a pretty good structure. If we could form like another descending trend line there, and then we form like a triangle, that would be good too. But for now, just looking mainly at Ethereum, BNB, and TRX as well. And yeah, overall, that's mainly what we're looking at for potential entries for the long side. Not entering yet, obviously, but we want to really ensure that we're getting buy volume. I think a few feeler trades wouldn't be a bad situation if we do see some bulls start to enter the market, because it is in a pretty good situation. The 1-hour candle still has around 40 minutes left to close. So if we do get a little consolidation here for the next 3 candles on the 15-minute chart, I would not mind, because then that means that there's buyers within the market, which would then make me potentially want to enter a little bit. So kind of gonna fly through a little bit more for these ones, because those are the 3 main things I'm looking at. I'm not gonna try to break down every single pair because we don't want to trade every single pair. So ETC broke down. Nice little consolidation, but I don't really see a nice continuation pattern on the 1-hour. So just talking about market structure, we see a nice level of support at around the $9.30 range, and we're holding right there for now on ETC. On Stellar Lumens, we see a kind of a similar structure to the different alts we have. Let's just close some of these zones of sensitivity. I think the big one we need to pass is this zone right here. Once we're able to pass this zone, that'd be great to see, but that's kind of, for me, the market structure high that I'd like to see before we actually look to enter long. And we also have a nice market structure low, which is kind of creating our zone of consolidation between the 0.075 and then the 0.067 range for Stellar Lumens. Now on to Litecoin. We have a good price action pattern potential here that we have on the 1-hour and 4-hour. We have this nice descending zone connecting to lower highs, and the price is now consolidating, holding a nice level of support around the $68 range. So the price is holding around the $68 range for a nice level of support, and we see lower highs. On this one, we're going to get a lot more confirmation because we do have a zone of confluence from the major market structural previous level of support and resistance, and also our descending zone, creating a zone of confluence, which is right around here. If the price is able to get above our level of confluence, that could be a good potential level of an entry to make a move to the upside, because that is shifting the confidence from the sellers to the buyers. But right now, we're not really going to be acting on LTC, just more spectating and seeing what the price action comes out to. Just gonna get a little coffee here. ZEC doesn't look bad. Same as a lot of different alts. We saw a nice bounce at the $56 range, and now we're at the major resistance around the $64 resistance. So I think we are going to range for a little bit here. Not really going to have an entry on ZEC. Cardano looks a little better. We do have a lot more edge compared to, for example, ZEC. But let's look on the hour chart here and just redraw some trend lines. So we got a nice descending trend line. That's the outskirts or the structure outline of the price action, which is this right here. We also have a more descending zone, which is going to connect the more aggressive lower highs, which will be easier to identify on the 15-minute chart. So if we get our lower highs, connect it right here. I think if we are able to connect it to a higher one, I think that might be the zone right there. So that's the outline of the structure right there. And then let's make it red. And then we'll put a projection to kind of capture the rest of the pattern there. So we'll kind of put one all the way down just to here. And the price is currently within that zone. And then we'll also put a market structure zone around here. So we will want to pass that zone of confluence and potentially use it as a nice new level of support. This isn't as ideal as I think a lot of the other alts that we have, like BNB, like Ethereum. They're more respected, so I think I will use those more instead of Cardano, but it's still an opportunity. It's still following the price action pattern that we're looking for, but it's not as ideal as some of the other alts that we are trading. Atom is definitely one that's following a similar type of structure. Let's just look on the hour chart here, moving us a little bit to the right. So we see the market structure very similar. We got a very, very nice solid level of support around that just under $4 range. We can see all along here holding strong levels of support, and then we are holding a very well-respected descending trend line. So we're getting a squeeze in price. The price has to make a decision, and the decision was break to the upside. So Cosmo or Atom is also a potential for us. We see a descending zone, connected lower highs, and we see a horizontal zone of demand, keeping the price above a certain zone. The price is having to make a decision either to go to the upside or downside, and we are looking like we could see a potential move to the upside because it already has broken the key level of resistance. And what we want to see is a structural high form before we look to enter. And I think right now we can just see this key zone right here as acting as a nice level of support and resistance. So I'd like to see the price make a structural higher high and then retest for a nice structural higher low, holding a nice level of support, and we want to enter at the completion of the exhaustion phase of the cycle. We see a lot more buy pressure coming into the market, which is great, but we don't want to enter too early. We want to really be ensured that we're entering at the highest probability situation. So Atom looks good, Atom looks good. LTC, XLM, I think Cardano was the other one that was a possibility, but that's kind of the only one that I'm seeing in the markets right now that looks like a good possibility for a long at this current market. Quick look at the different pairs we have. Still got about 36 minutes till the hour candle closes. BTC is having a nice little pullback. Definitely good to see for the alt market, because then if we get a pullback and a validated level of support is found, then we can look for a potential opportunity for a long. So this is going to be the last set of alts that we'll be doing. And I'm just going to quickly look at the different comments that we have. Not really seeing anything in the Discord as well. All right, so the final set of alts that we have, starting with VET, VeChain. We're getting a nice level of support. We see that the buy pressure really is showing because of the wicks protruding all the way down. Let's see how long that wick is on the 4 hour, because that's a pretty significant wick. That wick itself is 6% down, showing that there's a lot of buy pressure keeping the price above the 6664 range. And let's look on the 1 hour chart. We do see the structure still making lower lows and lower highs, so obviously we don't want to be entering long just yet. But if the structure does change, we could potentially see a nice opportunity, because that's a strong level of buy sensitivity. But for now, not really going to be looking, because the structure has not really made a higher high just yet. Raven coin is not something I'm really looking at too much on the 15-minute chart. Looks all right, a little bit messy. Massive amounts of volatility there. Not seeing a tremendous amount of volume, which is a little bit scary if I do enter already on the 15-minute chart. So definitely not looking to enter. The only kind of reason I'm looking at this is because if we do see a massive move towards the upside, you could be capturing some 20, 30, 50% gains on some of these small alts. But if you're just consolidating, I don't really like to look too much at these different coins. I think I'm even just going to delete these guys and then just keep the major structural areas within the chart. ONT is also at a nice level of support. Not really seeing a lot of movement after the support is held. Structurally, it does look like it made a higher high from this previous high, but it still needs to make a higher low formation. So I'm not really looking to enter at ONT just yet, but it does look like it's structurally being held at a nice level of support, and we do see a consolidation starting to form, and we see higher RVOL within the market recently. So that is all looking pretty good, but we're not looking to enter just yet. So let's move on to MATIC. Looks all right. We are still holding that nice level of demand. Looking at the daily chart, we see that yes, this is a very strong level of demand around the 9.019 area. That is going to be the strong level where buyers are going to be located. So we want to really understand that going forward. And let's just take away that ascending support. And I think what I will do is make this a little bit more cleaner. So we have a nice clean zone right here. That is going to be our major demand zone. If we do break that zone, we have our final zone right here. But I do not know if we're going to be looking at the price action if it gets to that area. And then we have another minor zone above this zone like so. So we'll see how the price action reacts to some of these areas that we've placed. We're not looking to enter just yet, but we'll just see how the price action reacts if it's able to consolidate, if it's able to make a higher high and then a higher low. If it's still making lower highs and lower lows, we're not really going to be interested in longing. We'll see how the price action comes within the kind of first half of the week here. NEO made a strong move up. Wow. Let's see how strong that was. 11%. That's pretty good. That's not bad. Also, just before I get on NEO, if there's anyone new, I just saw 2 new people come into the chats. You can drop a question or comment within the chat, and then I'll be able to answer any questions that you have, kind of filling in the blanks if you don't really know what's happening or if you want a question answered. So NEO on the 1 hour made a strong move to the upside. It's really broken that previous high and formed a new high, so it's great for market structure. We can see it also has held a lower high situation where it's holding a descending zone. We see that 4 rejection zone, so it's a level of dependability that we can have within the zone. And then now it's holding potentially as a nice new level of support where we have the horizontal zone right here, get respected as a support and also a resistance in the previous price action like so. And it could act as a nice new level of support, and also the descending zone where it's going to be a nice level of confluence at this point here. So NEO actually looks like a pretty good opportunity compared to the rest of the alts that we covered within this this tab here. So let's just look on the 15-minute because it's sometimes nice to look at the smaller time frames. So it's definitely pulling back hard, but if we do get a very strong wick here, we still have half an hour until the 1 hour closes. If we get a really strong wick here, we could be seeing a nice move to the upside. We see a lot of buy volume coming in. This candle does show a lot of strength, and we even still have half an hour left. But if it does close with a long wick protruding at the bottom of the candle, closing more bullish, it could be a good opportunity for us. So we will keep NEO on the top of our list here at the very far left. And we'll be keeping an eye on that. And we'll also be keeping an eye on Ethereum, BNB, and TRX. A little bit on Atom, and also a little bit on Cardano as well. But we'll see how the price action looks. I hope you enjoyed this analysis. If you have any other questions, we do see a pullback here, so we're going to definitely wait to see if the price is able to hold that zone before we really look to enter short. Not wanting to enter prematurely, we're going to be very patient and really make sure that the price is able to hold on the 1 hour before we look to enter. We want to see bullish confirmations. We want to see injections of buy volume coming into the market. So because there's a lot of things moving, because there's a lot of things happening right now, I'm probably going to do another altcoin analysis a little bit later today, probably around in 4 hours or something. Once we see at least 2-3 1 hour candles close, I'll do another one covering just the altcoins we're interested in for the Performante Premium members. So stay tuned for that. We just saw this 15-minute close So it looks pretty good so far, but like I said before, I will continue on and do another analysis shortly within the next couple hours here to kind of show you what the 1 hour candles have done, seeing if we're able to hold nice levels of supports, forming those new higher lows. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, just leave a comment within the YouTube section or Discord, and we'll be happy to answer them. So hope everyone had a good weekend. If you stuck around until the completion of this altcoin crypto market analysis, thank you very much. We really, really appreciate all the people who are joining into these live market sessions and who are contributing to the community. Like, even if you're just, saying a few things, interacting with people, it all means a lot. We really appreciate it, and we thank you very much. And it's kind of why we provide so much value. Not everything for free, but we do try to provide as much value as we can for free, because I do think that every single person should have the ability to navigate their way through the crypto market. It's just a matter of how active you want to be and how much commitment and time you really want to sink into it. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed it. Not really much more to add. If you have any questions, like I said, drop a comment. And until next time, happy trading. And I will discuss what's happening within the market in the next couple hours here again. So until next time, see ya later.